Our next speakers are already here. And what we have coming up next is an exclusive conversation with eToro. And the person asking the questions needs no introduction.
Hey. Yes, he does. He always needs introduction.
He does?
I'm Jason Raznick, the guy you just cut from your show on Fridays. I looked for your calendar invite to show the team how you do calendar invites, and it wasn't there. So I had to go backwards. You know?
Yeah. I opted. Google gives you the option not to alert people when you cancel a calendar invite, and I opted not to alert you about that. So,
you should have alerted me. Why didn't you alert me?
Because I didn't want to have this conversation right now.
Why? Why do you want? We have an amazing guest coming up, Yoni, the CEO of eToro, but he's going to tell you: don't avoid conflict, don't avoid conversations, Spencer. It's not how you want to live life.
You're right.
Why would you want to hide that you dropped me on because I didn't come on the last 7 weeks, or maybe another reason you dropped me? I don't know. But either way, that was silly of you. See, Spencer.
Okay. In any case, Jason, we've got Yoni from eToro, the founder and CEO. Let's get Yoni on here. And
all right. So let's do it. Let's go. Get the ticker symbol on there. The SPAC ticker symbol. It's not fully converted. I see in that bottom toolbar. Let's get that ticker symbol on there so people know what we got going here. Yoni, welcome to the Benzinga Crypto Festival. How you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great here in New York. We're very happy to see crypto markets continue on the longest rally ever. People forget how short 2017 rally was to understand how strong this rally is. Continuing, still recovering from a correction in May, but great to see ETH almost touching 4,000 today.
Yeah, no, ETH is. Now, do you guys, I have some interesting stories for you. You guys are going to, if you're tuning in, you're going to freak out by the end of this interview because I have a couple of interesting stories that I promise you. You know what? I will send you guys a refund of $10 or something if you paid, but maybe you did. If you don't think this is the most amazing interview ever, because I promise you it is. I promise you. Just take my word for it now, and now let me prove it. But do you have are you biased to ETH or Bitcoin? What's your take?
Generally, I'm very biased towards Bitcoin and ETH. They're roughly, I'd say together more than 80% of my crypto holdings, and they're playing 50-50, really depending on the day. But by the way, everybody, since eToro is a social investment network where you can actually see the portfolios of everybody in the network, you can actually look at eToro.com and search for Yoni Assia, and you'll see the breakdown of my entire both crypto and equities portfolio and my stellar performance as well.
Wow. Okay. So we can all see that on the eToro platform, all your holdings?
Yeah, of course. It's been there. You can see actually my track record, I think for the last 9 or 10 years. So the concept of eToro is we have today 22 million registered users from 100 different countries who can trade commission-free stock trading and cryptocurrencies. And everybody can actually see the performance of everybody in the network, and then can follow and collaborate and communicate with one another, seeing the portfolio allocations and how many stocks and crypto each holds, and then use our patented technology called CopyTrader to automatically copy the most successful investors in the network.
Okay. We're going to take it back to the beginning of eToro. What did eToro start as, by the way? Wasn't it more Forex?
So first of all, we'll go even more back in time. So I've been passionate about capital markets since I was 13. Very lucky to get some shares from my father to my bar mitzvah. And I was also a programmer when I was in high school. So I've always been passionate about the intersection of capital markets and technology. I've been doing both ever since. And I founded eToro together with my older brother because he used to make fun of me that I have an accountant fetish. I used to sit across multiple screens with charts and Excels and looking at lots of numbers. And Ronen, my brother, always used to say, this sounds like a super exciting world, the world of capital markets. But when I look at the actual user interface of what you're doing, it's horrible. So that's how we started eToro in 2007. We started with a vision of opening the global markets for everyone to trade and invest in a simple and transparent way. I always believed that our generation, Generation Y, is going to look for a different user experience in the market. And we started basically hacking the user experience of people trading in the market, starting with a very visual interface to make it just simpler. What we've noticed then is when we started our brokerage back in 2008, when we launched, which is a very interesting year to launch a trading platform during the global financial crisis, is that the most active feature on the platform was actually the chat. And what people were asking each other is, what are you currently trading? So that's how we realized, and this was, if you think about it, 2008, really the beginning of social networking, of Twitter and Facebook emerging. And we thought, let's take this concept and let's combine between a social network and the ability to actually see what people are doing. So you talk to real people, you can see their track record, you can see their portfolio allocation, and then you can either learn from them, talk to them, or just automatically copy their trades. And throughout the years, obviously, we've constantly adapted our business to what's happening in the market. So it was social networks. Obviously, we went mobile first very early on. So we went mobile first in 2015, inspired by Facebook. But we were very early also to Bitcoin. So we started.
That's where I wanted to go. So you were, because that's where I was going with. Tell your Bitcoin story. There's an article on Benzinga about it. So if you type in Yoni's name into Google space Benzinga, you'll see the story. But tell the story of Bitcoin with you guys, because you went to your board and you wanted to see how how you custodial it Bitcoin. So you guys bought some, and tell the dollar amount of what it is today. And yeah.
So I started thinking of cryptos, I would say before Bitcoin. I started writing in my blog about a concept that's now our nonprofit called the Good Dollar, where I wanted to create a better and more transparent money system. So when we noticed Bitcoin back in 2010, and I always say there's three sort of technologies or ecosystems that I immediately fell in love with. One is capital markets and the stock markets, the first trade I did. The internet and BBSs when I was very young, and sort of helped me understand how this entire world is connected and information connects. And then the first time I experienced Bitcoin, this was when you actually had Bitcoin faucets back then. This was, you could just enter your Bitcoin address and you would just receive some Bitcoins. I used to mine also in 2011. And we got so excited with the technology, especially because we were running a fintech company. So we understand how broken financial services back system in backend is. We were super excited by the technology and the fact that you can actually send money online to anywhere, to anyone, anywhere around the world on a system that's decentralized and open source. And we got excited about it and actually started buying crypto in eToro. I think it was the first rate was at $5. So I have these still emails from Mt. Gox of us buying Bitcoin for $5, $10, $15, $20. I think all in all, we bought probably about 3,000 to 4,000 Bitcoin back then. And then we launched Bitcoin trading in 2013. And as sort of crypto winter, the first crypto winter of 2013, post Mt. Gox failure started, we had a very intensive dialogue where I was very much pushing for Bitcoin. And some of the board members thought we should focus on equities and that Bitcoin is a fad. I've seen that happening with social networks before. And we had to really insist to make sure that we keep our Bitcoin in cold storage. But we bought, I think, about $50,000 worth of Bitcoin that at the peak.
How much?
We bought about $50,000 of Bitcoin. Okay.
Yep.
I think at an average price probably of 10, somewhere $10 to $20. And at the peak, I think that was worth about $30-40 million.
Did you guys hear that? $40,000 worth of Bitcoin. At the peak, it was worth $40 million. I mean, Yoni didn't even have to raise capital. He did, but $35,000 to $40,000 worth, and it's at the peak 35 to 40 million. And I don't think you cashed out of it. I think you guys just held on to it, if I recall.
Well, it was more important even than cashing out. It was the basis of how, in the rally of 2017, really during the peak rally, and people sort of don't appreciate how within these rallies, right? So when every time Bitcoin hits an all-time high, the amount of people flocking into crypto back then was just intense. We grew 100 times from the average of January 2017 to the peak day in December 2017 by the number of funded accounts opening in a single day, from 200 funded accounts a day to 20,000 funded accounts a day. And the only way we could actually serve that surge of customers who are coming to eToro to buy Bitcoin was actually just selling them the Bitcoin we held, right? Because back then, this was like at the peak of 2017, all of the exchanges shut down new registrations. Most of the exchanges were on and off during peak times. You couldn't trade. You had a lot of errors back then. The system was really just maturing. And the fact that we had a balance sheet and enables us to also go into new cryptos, so hold a balance sheet in ETH. We launched Ethereum on the platform when it was $6. So the first quotes of ETH on the platform is at $6. And then we started adding more and more cryptocurrencies. Today we have about 30 crypto assets on the platform. But it's amazing to see some of the people, even just the last 12 months, we've seen people buying Cardano. And people just seeing absolutely amazing returns on Cardano over the past 9 months, which is quite amazing. I'll just put a disclaimer there that having seen that sort of from the seat of seeing hundreds of millions of transactions in eToro, the fact that people were in time in a specific asset, and this is a risk disclaimer for you, Jason, doesn't mean that it's easy necessarily to make money in crypto or that all other assets will grow in time. So past performance doesn't necessarily indicate future performance.
I mean, have you lost any of these picks?
You mean have I personally ever lost in a trade in crypto?
Well, I mean, these returns are right. I mean, do you guys have your own coin yet, eToro?
No, we decided since we're in the process, since we have a lot of shareholders as we raised money in the traditional way of VC, and since we've announced and we're very excited about the transition from a private company to a public company through a SPAC merger, that the right thing is to make sure that we understand where the equity value is, and that's for the shareholders of eToro. We did open our nonprofit, the Good Dollar, which is a currency on its own, but it really does promote financial literacy, financial inclusion, and potentially UBI or financial equality through a blockchain-based universal basic income system. But that's a whole different story.
Got it. I would love to hear about the Good Dollar more because we do financial literacy here in Detroit high schools. We can talk about that more. Maybe the Good Dollar is something that we show off because
anybody in Detroit can just go to gooddollar.org, get a free mobile wallet, and then every day claim good dollars, and then basically through that educate themselves about cryptocurrencies, start sending and receiving, inviting their friends to receive more good dollars. So we created a cryptocurrency where anybody in the world can open a wallet and just every day just claim good dollars and get good dollars.
That's sweet. I would show the screen right now, but maybe the producer has to do it. I just tried to do it. They put the link, but I wanted them to actually open the site so someone can see it and we can click on it. That's sweet. When did you guys start that?
So as I mentioned, I started a blog post back in 2008 about this, about the fact that there's a need for a transparent money system where you could actually see different transactions. So if you have transparent money system, the world could be fairer and money can be doing more good. And then created a concept which only later on I realized is similar in essence from an economic point of view to universal basic income, which basically said that the people who have the least actually need to receive more interest rate, not less interest rate, right? So in the world of interest rates, if you're rich, you're actually your money is making more money for you, and you don't need to work anymore. And if you're poor, you don't have any money to generate interest rate. So out of that model, we just created a range of smart contracts. So it's all based on ETH, and on Ethereum and on decentralized finance.
Okay, so now we talked about but the one thing I didn't get still, in the first days that you and your brother started the business, the first days, I'm talking about the first 2 months of the business, first 4 months of the business, what was it? I know you said they were chatting about positions, but did you have a brokerage then in Israel? Like, what was it the first 4 months? I mean, because I know this thing. I mean, this has been a rocket ship, and I feel like the rocket ship is just beginning. So, but I just want to know the first 4 months of what it was, or the first 2 months. What was eToro? I know what your vision was. Your vision was to open up trading and investing to the world, because you've been so passionate since you're 13. Your parents had to steal the newspaper away from you to stop trading. They wanted you to play sports because you couldn't throw a baseball or something. But what I'm just want to know.
No baseball in Israel, so that's not the case.
What'd you say?
Close enough. But okay. When we started, it was really a desktop app. Okay. So you actually had to download back then software to your desktop, which made it very simple to look at the markets. We started with currency markets. You can trade the euro versus the dollar versus the yen, and we just visualized it in a very simple way. We showed the map of the world. We created different visual ways to basically trade the markets. So we created a lot of different screens which tried to explain to people how to trade in a very visual way. So that was really how we started. We said we want to simplify trading, making it as simple as possible for more people to understand it.
Okay.
And then as time progressed, we realized two interesting things. One is you need to simplify access to capital markets, but to a point where you don't stupefy them, right? So people need to still understand that markets are serious, and that you need to manage your investments properly. And I think that's where we sort of fell in love in the concept of social trading, because if you see other people and you see their performance, and today we have 1 out of 1,000 investors in eToro becomes a popular investor who's being copied and actually gets paid to be copied by others, right? So just to explain that concept quickly, our top popular investor started with eToro, I think it was when he was 25. Now he has track record of 9 years on eToro with an IRR of north of 40%. So on average, generating more than 40% returns a year for the past 8 or 9 years. And today he has 30,000 people copying him. So every time he trades, that trades in the same proportion, same time, and same price, and 30,000 other accounts. And about $150 million are right now copying him. And he gets paid from us for being copied. And we have 1,700 popular investors on the platform who are all copied by users from all around the world. So we wanted to bring the sharing economy, the same as Uber for taxis or Airbnb for hotels, to the concept of portfolio management, so people can really see that there are talents out there. I know both of us, Jason, believe we're both passionate about capital markets. There are a lot of naysayers out there saying it's impossible to beat the markets. It's impossible to generate significant returns in the market. It's not impossible. It's possible. I've done it myself. You can see my track record, but we have a lot of successful investors. I'm not saying it's easy or simple to be a successful investor. I'm saying that if you devote the time, if you educate yourself about the markets and you understand the risks and you're willing to take risks, you can generate nice returns over time in the markets, especially both in stocks, but definitely in crypto.
Yeah, and one of the things that I find interesting, I'm a fundamental guy mostly, and there's certain areas that I'm an expert in, and so I call it informational edge. I guarantee in certain parts of the market, I will destroy most people. I say anyone because I really believe that. But
you could open an eToro account and talk the talk and see whether you can walk the walk and not talk the talk. Other people can see your performance over time. What are these areas you should specialize in, Jason?
No, you're right. No, I'm good at catching trends like SaaS software businesses. Okay, I was good at when they sold off Twilio. I mean, just 100% gainers, 1,000% gainers. Before, back in 2002, I was the guy invested in the online dating business. The JDate was a public company. Yahoo had personals. I was like the guy who had every stock that was an online dating business. Should have kept them all. Match.com was around then. But there's informational edges. And that's where eToro can be so freaking useful, because you can find guys who outperform the market, but you can also see sector performance. And that's where it can become so substantial. Because I'll tell you right now, Yoni, if you said, Jay, hey, what would you do in the pharmaceutical space you think that's going to grow? I would say, Yoni, I have no idea what the pharmaceutical space is. I know I take Zithromax when I have a cold. That's all I would say. I'll take a Z-Pack, And so to your point, people have specialized knowledge in certain areas, in my opinion, and instead of technical. So eToro serves such a important part of this economy in terms of learning the markets and following success. I'm going to talk for one thing. I like golf, so what do? I watch good golfers and I copy their swing. If you like making money, follow good traders, good investors. I'm really good at SaaS businesses. I need to get my account in eToro, obviously, so you can follow me, right? And Yoni's really good at, knitting. So if you want to learn to knit, you follow Yoni. But so that's what you guys.
I'm good at tech stocks and crypto historically.
No, you're not just good. Yoni is absolutely. Look at the record. I mean, Yoni. There's a reason eToro is $10-12 billion SPAC value, and I believe it's just the beginning. So I want to just take people to where we are today, because we only have like 8 more minutes or 7 more minutes. But will you talk to us a little bit about your most recent quarter? You gave your earnings updates and your revenue. Maybe talked about the growth. If you guys are listening to this show right now and you're in your car listening on Sirius Satellite, pull over, sit down in your seat, because when you hear these numbers, you're going to fall off your chair. I know the numbers, so I'm not going to fall, so I'm good. Go ahead, Yoni, take over.
So we did have tremendous growth over the past 18 months, which significantly scaled the business. We had an amazing 2020. So in 2020, we've grown the business. Total commission grew to over $600 million in 2020. And that was 147% growth year over year versus 2019. In the first half this year, we already generated in the first 6 months more than $700 million in total commission, more than $500 in net trading income. We added last year, we were very excited seeing 100% growth in the number of new registered users into our social network. So we grew from 2.5 million registered users in 19 to adding 5 million registered users in 2020. And then the first 6 months of the year, we already added more than 5.2 million registered users. There's definitely a perfect storm happening right now. If you think of what we've built, which is a social network for investors around both stocks in the US, in Europe, around the world, as well as cryptocurrencies, we're just seeing a perfect storm of markets at all-time high, retail participation in the markets at an all-time high, crypto rally 2.0, which is now the longest crypto rally that we've ever seen. Also sort of, I would say, to some extent, very much supported suddenly by institutional money, something that we haven't seen in 2017. So now every single bank in America has a digital assets in a blockchain lead and their own blockchain and crypto sort of thinking around the markets. So we've seen from Q2 this year to Q2 last year about 120 to 140% growth year over year. So definitely a great progress this year after significant growth last year as well.
So were you profitable?
Yeah, we've never focused on profitability. I very much believe in growth. I think growing the company is the most important KPI because I see this huge secular trend. If you think about Generation Y and Generation Z, and you think about the rest of the world, so not only the US markets, our biggest market is Europe. So in the US, 51% of households own stock. In Europe, it's an average less than 15%, and the majority of those still don't own US stocks. In Asia, it's less than 10%. So I think there's a huge available market to be open the global market still to hundreds of millions of people who can participate in capital markets, just like I started when I was young, and to basically open up their first trade on platforms like eToro. So I definitely am a big believer in growth and keep on investing in growth. Having said that, we've been very responsible in how we manage that growth, and we can never expect outliers like crypto rallies. So over the past 4 years of 2017, 18, 19, and 20, we actually generated more than $400 million also in EBITDA profit. So we've been able to significantly scale the balance sheet of the company, but really not because we focused on profits, just because we managed the company responsibly, and every time a significant rally happened.
Yeah. How many people do you have working there?
We have 1,500 employees worldwide. Okay. We have offices, I think, in 10 countries now.
Right. Okay, because we have 4 minutes. You the numbers aren't amazing, but I know you're a big vision person. Where do you see this going? Do you think you're in inning one? You're just getting started? Where do you see eToro as a company? Guys, if you want to look up eToro on the tickers, NASDAQ, it's FTCV. F as in Frederick, T as in Tom, C as in Charlie, V as in Victor. Yoni, where do you see you guys going over the next 2 to 3 years?
So you can actually see that in the pipe presentation on investors.etoro.com. We expected to end the year with 1.9 million funded brokerage accounts. We're now at the end of Q2 surpassed roughly 2 million. So we expect that number to grow to over 6 million by 2025. We expect revenues will do. Total commission this year will be, we expected to be about $1 billion. So we did 700 for the first 6 months. Yep. And expect that to grow in parallel at a bit of slower rate than the growth of users. So if we expect 2 million to 6 million at a bit of a slower rate as we're bringing more and more customers from more countries and expanding our business in the US. But if you want to talk about like the big picture is if you think about financial services, even in the US, right? So Morgan Stanley bought E-Trade, Schwab bought TD, Robinhood is US only. It's a very US, so US financial services companies cater to US customers, and you see the same all around the world. So in Germany, you see German companies catering to German customers. You see in the UK, in Australia, we're regulated today in Europe, in the UK, in Australia, and the US, expanding also to the Middle East of Asia. In our long-term vision, people all around the world, Generation Y and Generation Z, are going to expect the same user experience. And we can leverage technology, AI, and user experience to just build a global digital investment platform for that generation, which just gives better tools and a better ability to become successful investors. And if the market itself is hundreds of millions of accounts over the next 10 years, I truly believe we can reach tens of millions of accounts in eToro, growing that significantly. So
eToro, in your mind, is not even close to the top, and it's like the beginning stages. And
we're definitely seeing a huge secular trend, which we believed in. Social people trading on social and talking on social networks about what's happening and learning from one another. That's definitely, I would say, at the peak of our culture. What's happening over the past 6 months of people realizing retail investors have a voice in the markets, and they can talk about what they're doing in the markets, and they can beat Wall Street in some cases.
All right, so now we're just doing a quick rapid fire. You got like 10 seconds to answer. I'm just looking at some of the chat questions. Any opinions on Cardano?
I think there's a very interesting trend happening in sort of the Ethereum competitors. I think staking is interesting on Cardano, and no doubt that the smart contracts that are going to launch on Cardano in the next 2 weeks could be a game changer, but we'll have to see how traction and usage actually becomes significant on the Cardano network.
Okay. The next one was, what was the next one? I have to go back to that. BEXT, I don't know that one. So do you know that? I don't know.
I didn't follow that. So
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. And then the merger vote. When does that happen? Do you know?
Well, we are in progress of the SPAC merger completion, but we haven't announced a date yet. So when we'll announce it, we'll make sure all of your listeners know the date.
Okay, got it. And then there was one. Oh, Canada. Canada. Are you guys in Canada? Do you plan to expand to Canada?
We hope to. So we are looking now at Canada. We're available at 100 countries and are putting a lot of efforts to scale our business in the US. So we've seen outsized growth in the US with funded accounts in the US growing from 6% to 12% of total. So very focused in the US and potentially the next stage after launching equities in the US and scaling in the US would be looking at Canada as well.
Yeah, and I see people asking questions. If you guys go to Google and type in like Benzinga eToro, you could see reviews you wrote on it. If you have questions on customer service stuff, was it like support@etoro.com or something?
Yeah.
So support@etoro.com. When a company is going through such growth, but I know their customer service, they try to get back to everyone.
We had to hire 500 people this year. Just the first 7 months, had to hire 500 people just to support all of that customer growth. We definitely know that sort of in the peaks of March and May, when we just scaled, we had to bring in more people to give better service, but we have great people all around the world now giving white glove service to our club members and to our customers from all around the world.
Okay, well, maybe my last question. How do you do all those countries? Aren't there different languages and stuff?
We're in 24 different languages.
How?
So most of the European languages, I had to learn how to say social trading and commission-free stock trading in 20 different languages, from Philippines to Vietnamese to German to Italian to Spanish. And we're regulated in many jurisdictions. And by the way, we're the only global broker-dealer offering commission-free stock trading and crypto for customers from 100 different countries. Again, most of our competitors always are very local.
So like on that stuff with all those different countries, in those countries, do you have the exchanges that are in that country?
Yeah, we support, I think today, 17 different exchanges on the platform. So you can buy European equities, Hong Kong equities, and we constantly are adding more and more. There's always a rally somewhere. There's always interesting stocks to see somewhere. And I do believe our world is becoming global, and people from Germany, Australia, US, Latin America can all learn from one another.
Yoni, hitting home runs, making this company grow, all these countries. Spencer, I feel like we got to go like run faster or something, or go out and exercise, because this guy in all these countries, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And congrats on the success. Thank you for coming on the Benzinga Crypto Festival. We'll hopefully have you on again. The 35,000 to 35 million. Those are the kind of things that, Yoni does. And check out the company FTCV, because I think it's very interesting, and you're hearing it from the CEO himself, who is as passionate as ever to grow this company. That's one thing I do know. So,
and I'll just say I know Yoni is a beast, because last time we spoke, it was like 4:30 p.m. on a Friday his time. And if you know anything about Israelis, 4 o'clock on a Friday is like most of them aren't at work, and he was at work. So that's when I knew Yoni was a beast. So Jason, Yoni, both of you, thanks a lot.
24/7 like the crypto markets. Thank you very much, Jason. Always a pleasure to see the passion. Thanks, Spencer.